Okay, Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah wa kafa. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Assalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Anbiya'i wa ala Ali wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa ala Ali Sayyidina wa Maulana Muhammadin wa barik wa sallam alayhi. Ya Allah, we turn to you and you alone, Ya Rabbil Alameen. We've come together for this session. Ya Allah, we're asking you for help and guidance. We're asking you to make this session a means of barakah and a means of shifa for all of us. Ameen. Allahumma ameen. Ya rahmatal lil alameen. Ameen. Okay, so Bismillah. I'm going to try and share the screen share. As I said to Sister Fija, I haven't done this for quite some time. So let me just, I'm hoping I shall be able to get the presentation up. Can you see that?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, all right, alhamdulillah. Okay, a bit out of practice, but shukr Allah.
Well done.
I always get a bit nervous, you know, like doing something and it just goes off into thin air. Okay, anyway, so I'm Tabeeba. Tabeeba means essentially in Arabic doctor, you know, somebody who can prescribe prophetic medicine. So I'm not a GP, I'm not a medical practitioner, but I've studied Islamic medicine, medical sciences, and alongside lots of other things. So my original background is, you know, many years ago, trained as a teacher, then moved into community work, community development, community regeneration, community projects, managing teams, managing projects, managing budgets, big budgets as well. I did all of that, as you do, and for about 20 years I taught at the University of Central Lancashire on the International Community Relations course, but primarily I moved into research. So I have almost, you know, a very long history of research. Okay, so we're just going to ask if everybody can mute themselves, otherwise there'll be interference. Inshallah. There'll be opportunities for questions and answers. I think somebody called Asia. I think you're not muted. Or you may be, I don't know. But if you could mute yourself, otherwise we'll hear things in the background. Sometimes we don't want to hear those things either. Okay. So so essentially I'm based here in Derby, and so all our life been here in Derby. My pride, I think the most thing I'm proud of is, mashallah, I'm a grandmother of 13 grandchildren, so I love my grandkids, and we still carrying on working. Okay, so how did I get into this? So as I said, background has been in education, has been in research, has been in the community, and my heritage is Pakistani. My parents came from Pakistan, but they came in the 60s. My husband's family is from India. They came in the 50s. And after my in-laws retired, they went back to India. So about 20 years ago, 22 years ago now almost, visiting mother-in-law in India. And somebody said to me, why don't you go and see this, you know, you're into health and all of this. Why don't you go and see this gentleman who treats people? So I said, okay. Went along. It was just an afternoon out, really, more than anything. Went there. There was a lot of people there, but this gentleman, elderly gentleman, who is now my teacher, or my first teacher, he was just sitting quietly doing ilaj, doing treatment. But I didn't understand what that was about. The following year, when I went again, I was curious. I thought, I'll just go and see. And then I began to see that, you know, he was treating people very quietly, very sort of humbly, and nothing flashy, just a bit of this, bit of that, but a lot of Quran guidance, you know, Quranic spiritual remedies. Even then I didn't really fully understand, of course, how would you, because this knowledge has almost been hidden from us. And then I, at the same time, round about that time, 20 odd years ago, I was reading the Quran with the tafsir, with the understanding, and I came across, obviously, as we do, the names of the prophets. There was about 25, well, there are 25 mentioned by name. And I got very interested. I said, I want to go and see these places. Where are these places? You know, which I mentioned. Of course, everybody knows about Hijaz, about the Haramain Sharif. Even Al-Aqsa, people are now more familiar, but at the time, you know, wasn't. And so we started the journey into the Islamic world, I guess, you know, and there was not a single country that we have not visited many times. Yemen, Oman, Turkey, Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt, India, Turkey. India is not Islamic, Muslim, but there are lots of Islamic heritage, almost 1,000 years of Islamic rule there. in Spain, you don't see but Muslim Spain, all the usual places, Turkey, and going back and back. So really, I essentially wanted to see, the locations, even just the earth, that the world, that these prophets that are mentioned are probably, you can't find the actual location, but you're near abouts. We know the Middle East. So simultaneously, as I was studying the Quran, the names of the prophets, we started traveling and I thought, we're going back to India. And the third time, when I began to speak to to this gentleman, my teacher, I asked them, what is it you're prescribing? And he began to explain. And then that triggered another interest. I want to go and find where all these practitioners are. And so essentially, it was simple as that. There was no plan for me to go, because there isn't really anywhere which is holistically providing a prophetic medicine in the same way. There's lots of different types. There's Unani medicine, there's Arab medicine, there's Persian, there's Greco-Arab, there's in Africa you get all the all the herbs and all the practitioners who teach, and Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese, all of it was obviously is out there. It's all stemmed out of prophetic medicine. My understanding is that, because somebody would have brought that knowledge to that particular community. People are still not muted. I would request if you could mute yourself.
Is it possible to put me as the co-host so I can mute them? Because I don't think they realize that.
Okay,
They need
let
to
me
mute themselves. Yeah, that's it.
I'm just worried if I just press something. I just don't want to,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, don't. That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So this is just to fill you in of how I've got where I've got to. And as I began to travel, all of these interests came together: Islamic history, Quranic history, our heritage, our culture, where where and how it sort of mingles, and what the core to everything was our belief system, our faith, that whichever a part of the world you are, a Muslim, the La ilaha illallah will bring us together. And so I didn't know where I was going, but I just said, Ya Allah, make an opening in Jordan, and make an opening in Syria and Iraq, all of these countries where we've traveled before the war and after the war as well. And just making that dua. And how do you find out? You get to a place and you go to the masjid and you speak to the sister next to you and say, is there somebody who's doing herbal medicine? Is there somebody who's doing homeopathy or something like that? Herbs, broken language, they tell you. And mostly in the old Medinas, really into the old city areas, that you won't find them in the suburbs. And this is simply how it was. So almost 22 years of traveling, and we're still traveling. This year we've been to Palestine twice, we've been to Turkey twice. We've just come back from Palestine 2 days ago. We make dua for all of the troubles that was just kicked off there. We're going back to Turkey in the end of October. We're going back to Morocco at the end of November. We're going to the earthquake area doing charity work. So all of this, came together, whereby I was still working as a senior lecturer and researcher at the university, but traveling and learning. And when you go with that sort of open heart, good intention, Allah makes openings for you. It's as simple as that. And so one by one began to see, how different in different countries, how the herbs and how the different remedies were being used, what works in one country, what works, and so learning and practicing. And eventually, my first teacher is in India, and then we found teachers in Palestine, and somebody else who taught us in Morocco, and this is how it all came together. Having sort of began to closely observe teachers, it was more observation. You're like a apprentice, I guess. Eventually, over a period of time, our teacher said, go and do khidmah, khidmah, go and, serve people. Okay, so I thought, okay, subhanAllah, we're not serving people. And it was like, go now. And so I set up, my husband and I, we set up individually an exercise class for the local community. I started to talk on the radio about what I had learned about prophetic medicine. We started to do food parcels, all of those things. And the teachers kept saying, go and do khidmah, go and do khidmah, because we think we're doing khidmah, we think but it's just touching the surface. And then from there on, all of this was building out tawakkul in this ilaj, in the treatment remedies. Tawakkul, going and make understand tawakkul, what it was about. So when we were saying I was more curious, anxious, more eager. Can I do something now? No, 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 no. Go and do khidmah. So we did about, all of this khidmah. You do an allotment project. For men's, there was a lot of refugees coming up. So we set up like a men's support group with my husband. So I was in the forefront of wanting to learn. And obviously I needed a mehram. And so I used to drag, husband, we got to go sort of thing. So anyway, to give you this background that it's never too late, and we always have a little bit of knowledge and we build upon that knowledge, because the Prophet ﷺ said, go to China if you have to seek knowledge, and basically that's essentially putting it into practice. So subhanallah, carried on, and about 12 years ago our teachers eventually said, okay, you can do a bit of ilaj, you can do a bit of treatment, and that's how then we started to do some treatment. And they said, you can't do it for free, because I was doing things for free. And they were saying, no, your own nafs can't handle it. You've got to charge something, but a reasonable amount. And that's how the Rahman clinic was established. But then we were providing so many different services, like the allotment project, the radio programs, the food parcels. And so we were providing services. And we chose Al-Nasiha because Al-Nasiha means obviously guidance, hadaya. It also means sincerity, because the Arabic is such a rich language. It means, obviously giving good guidance, but always at the core, turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and building our relationship with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so we have the teachers helping, guiding, we were traveling, and this is how it all came together. And so eventually we started to do that sort of low-level type of preliminary type of ilaj treatment, hijama, for example, and other remedies. We were doing that. And this is how a Rahman clinic, which is from our home. We haven't got a flashy clinic. We've taken why should we go and spend, waste money on things like that when we can just do it from home? Children had left the nest by then, all married, mashallah, in their own homes. And so we had space in the house, and this is how it all came by. Now, so having set the scene for you to explain, where it is, and there's lots of information available on the internet about prophetic medicine, Tibb an-Nabwi, but really you need the practice or the guidance of the teachers, and see how they work, the practitioners, the practical side, to be able to then put it into practice. So this is myself, and so al-Tibb an-Nabwi essentially means prophetic medicine. And so it's a medicine, if you want to call it that, based upon the sayings of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what it is. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is our guide, is our tabib, is our doctor. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given us the knowledge. And we know that everything that came from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has come through a divine source. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never spoke anything out of context. And so through wahi, as we know, everything has come from Allah. This is why there is truth in this medicine. It's haqq, and we can't deny that. And as a Muslim, it's very easy for me to explain this to a Muslim, because it just makes sense. So based on the traditions of the Prophet, the hadith, we have Tibb an-Nabwi, subhanallah. So this is what prophetic medicine is. So it's guidance from Allah, and in that guidance, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us how to preserve good health and prevent disease. Our Lord is merciful. He does not want to punish us. We, in a sense, bring the punishment upon ourselves. And so the world that we're living in there's just chaos everywhere now. And we can see the chaos unfolding because we're in the end times. And so Allah tells us in the Quran that the corruption, the fasad, has spread to such an extent that the earth, the sky, the water, underneath the ground, above the ground, everywhere, the whole, what Allah gave us as a gift, this beautiful earth and everything that is within this that Allah's created for us to serve us, we have spoiled it. We collectively, it doesn't mean you or I, it means us together. And the greed of a small amount of people have corrupted the earth. So the facade is everywhere. This is a direct quotation from the hadith. And so therefore, whatever we do, there's a consequence for that. And so Allah in his mercy guides us, because health essentially is our wealth. You can have all the wealth, you can have everything. If you do not have good health, everything is meaningless. And so what does Allah tell us about maintaining good health? Allah says, eat of the good things we have provided for you, sustenance, but commit no excess thereon, lest my wrath should justly descend upon you, and those on whom descends my wrath do perish indeed. So here is a clear warning. Allah says, the whole of, I've created this system for you, this world and everything in it, for you to sustain yourself, for you to eat, but not in excess. And so what do we eat? So everything we consume, food and water and medicine, must be, as we know, halal. So we go about looking for halal on all the takeaway shops, halal, or all the shops. We read the ingredients, we check the ingredients, and it says halal. Okay, we're satisfied. But we actually don't know what the ingredients are, because some have got E numbers and so on and so forth. And we'll come back onto that in a moment. So it's not just having halal, it's tayyib as well. Tayyib means, pure. It's one of the names of Rasul Sallam. Yeah. He is pure. And so therefore, what we are meant to eat is also from a halal source, but also tayyib. There's got to be purity in it. And that's the bit now we know is harming us, because we just don't know what's in the food that we're eating, in the drinks that we're drinking. And everything seems to be corrupted, from the rain, water, as we know the Prophet ﷺ said, that there will be acid rain, from the ground in which the food is grown, the pesticides, the insecticides, the herbicides, all the sides that you can think of, and the poor earth, which is harvested not just twice, but 3 and sometimes 4, and now they don't even need soil to grow. It's water and chemicals and so on. So all of the salad that we're having under all of these polytunnels is coming from, artificial means of growing food. We're going to talk about food because that's very important. So therefore, the halal and the tayyib not just means about, is not referring just to what we're ingesting, it means the source of our income. So you find people who do corrupt things, and then they go and build a masjid, or they give money to the masjid, or give money, I receive money. We have a charitable arm, because in our work, as we were working in the community and getting deeper and deeper, because we were traveling, people were saying to us, why don't you do something for us? All the ladies used to come to the exercise class. We said, okay. I said to Hubby, where should we take them? And we took them to Turkey, and they loved it. All the elderly aunties and so on. And from there, we took them to Morocco. And then this is how our trips started to grow. We took people to places where we had gone ourselves. We knew very well those locations, and we could pull together Islamic history, Quranic history, prophetic history, and so on and so forth. And so and then our charity arm sort of grew from that, because people began to give us money, take our sadaqah, take our zakat, go and distribute it. So we were taking sums of money to these places to give out. And so even now, as a charitable organization, we receive funds, which is like maybe gambling even. So I had to take guidance on what do I do with this gambling money. And the Mufti said to me that, yes, you can take it, but there's no reward in it. And then we couldn't build a toilet with it or something. So essentially, the tayyib is very, very important. So first and foremost, we're going to look at what are the principles of prophetic medicine. It's all based on the very first hadith mentioned in Muslim and Bukhari, which is about our intention. So it's about niyyah. It's about making sure you have a good intention when you are doing the work and when you are treating the patient. And the patient themselves comes with good intention. So today, for example, our deen is so beautiful, we can add 100 intentions in this session itself, for shifa, for guidance, for benefit, for reward, you name it, you can put into it. We can even count this as, if we make that intention like itikaf, for you know, as an non-obligatory, because the time we're spending is, we're talking about the deen. So this is the benefit of you know, the beauty of our religion. So it's all on intention. We correct the intention of the patient, we correct our own intention, and as we started the lesson, this talk with dua, turning to Allah for guidance, for madad, for help, and all of these things, inshallah. Having corrected that, then we look at what are the other principles. Well, firstly, as I said, our teachers spent years, you know, making us understand what is, you know, what is prophetic, with a prophetic way. Firstly, it's all about, it's based on yaqeen. Yaqeen on what? Yaqeen, firstly, a belief that there is a cure for everything, and Allah is the curer, not the medicine, not the doctor, not the practitioner, not the equipment, but Allah is the curer, and the cure comes from Allah when He wills, because that illness can come for a reason as well as a punishment. Having understood that, we go into then the tawakkul aspect of it, because we don't have any, you know, fancy gadgets with us. All we have is our yaqeen that there is a cure, there has to be a cure, and Allah is the curer. So we place our reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which even in our research, we were picking up, we were doing lots of research on health and mental health and physical health, and giving, you know, all of that research to government to develop policy and so on. And what was clear is that those people who have a belief system, belief in a God, we believe in Allah, but, you know, the practicing Roman Catholics, Orthodox Jews, anyone with this, you know, believes in a spiritual dimension, you know, high spiritual creation, I guess, their recovery was quicker. And same for us. We believe in Allah as the curer, and so there we put our faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we know that the cure will come if Allah wills, otherwise qadar. So having understood then that Allah is the curer, placing our yaqeen, our tawakkul, our reliance, then when patients were coming to me in the beginning, they were saying, but of course we believe in Allah, of course we have tawakkul in Allah, but I'm ill, I've been ill for a very long time. Then we have to say, you need to have sabr, because Allah is the one who has sabr, because this test is removing, this illness is a test and removing your sins, and your book is getting cleaner and cleaner, and, you know, it's good deeds are being written in it. Whereas somebody who is healthy and wealthy and, you know, enjoying themselves, I guess, you know, the sins of the eyes, sins of the hands, sins of the ears, everything is being written. So Allah wants you to return back to Him with a clean book, with a good book. So we have to enforce that. And then they say, but we've been having sabr for 10 years, 15 years, because now they've been consuming, going to the doctor, as we all do, and the doctor's sort of giving them the medicine. You're going to have to have shukr. Okay, so the two go hand in hand, sabr and shukr, all based on intention. And we have to reinforce that with the patient, inshallah. So and those are the principles we have to focus on. They're all mentioned in the Quran. There's nothing here that you don't know. There's not that is hidden. And then we move on to the next aspect, which is the diet. So as I've just said, Allah has said to us to eat from the halal and tayyib. And this is in Surah Taha. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions it in Surah Baqarah. Many places Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keeps on reminding us, you know, that He's given us all of these good things, and therefore we need to show gratitude. We need to fulfill our obligations as well. So we know that Allah is the curer, and both the disease and the cure come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at an appointed time. And there is a cure for every illness, disease, condition. There's nothing, you can't, Allah is not going to create something, or the disease is not going to happen, the illness is not going to come without a cure. But the hadith also says, go and find the cure. Go to one doctor, go to two, go to three, go to 10, go to 30. Because if there is a wasila for you, Allah will make that opening for you. Allah will show you the means, the path to get there. So in the treatment, Allah has says, the Prophet has said that go and find that cure through the means, and because there is a cure, then but treat yourself medically, but use nothing unlawful. So whatever Allah has made halal for us, we will take from that. And this means that we look at the what we under, because if the body is ill, then something has gone inside the body, and usually it's through ingesting something, eating something, consuming something, or drinking, whether it's food, drink, medicine, something has gone in. So we then think about the next principle, and this is how the doctors, and remember, we had a very golden period where all of this knowledge, the Muslim physicians, of which we know, the golden period of Islam during the Umayyad and into the Umayyad dynasty, they there's a lot of research and development that took place, and that knowledge and research was shared with the Greeks and shared with other people, mainly the Greeks, and there was a lot of similarities, and from there, subhanallah, the Muslim physicians were able to come up with many discoveries upon which a lot of modern science is based. So if you take medicine, for example, Ibn Sina and Ibn Qayyum and all of Imam Razi and all of these great people, they did tons of research. Ibn Sina, for example, he started his apprenticeship from Uzbekistan and traveled all the way across to the Maghrib, to Morocco, and learnt his trade, and came back and served in the courts of the Persian kings. And he wrote the famous book, Al-Qanun, the canon, upon which modern medicine is built. And so you have the Al-Qanun as an encyclopedia of medical references, which was used right up to the 17th century in Europe. Europe was going through its dark ages when there was enlightenment in the Islamic world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed us Muslims with that with all of that. We were the chosen people, subhanallah, and unfortunately now, as the Islamic Empire grew and the decline happened because we went back into dunya, what the Prophet feared, Allah took that away from us. And so now you have the hubs of Europe and America where people come to do their PhDs and higher education. Allah has taken that from us. And yes, we come as well and we learn, but all the credit all goes to Europe and America. No credit is given to the Muslims, yet that's where the foundation is. And so you have these great people who did a lot of work. And so the Arab doctors, they knew how to treat the patient. And so it was through the guidance of the Prophet. And what has the Prophet guided us? He has said that the son of Adam does not fill any vessel worse than his stomach. it is sufficient for the son of Adam to eat a few mouthfuls to keep him going. If he must do that, fill his stomach, then let him fill 1/3 with food, 1/3 with drink, and 1/3 with air. That's all we need. We only need to eat once a day. But we have the guidance in the form of our ibadah, which is fasting. And all the alternative practitioners now talk about intermittent fasting, the 3 and the 2, the 5 and the 2, the 5 and the 2. You know, what is the 5 and the 2? The 5 and the 2 is 5 days of eating, 2 days of fasting, intermittent. The 2 days for us are the Sunnah days, Monday and Thursday. You keep those 2 days. If you make that your habit, you'll never be ill. Inshallah, you'll control diabetes and many other things. You know, yet the prophets told us, subhanallah, there is no secret. But they claim, oh, we've just found the miracle diet, the 5 and the 2. Subhanallah. Anyway, Muslims are never going to get credit for anything because we are, I'm sorry to use this word, but we're in the gutter ourselves. So pulling ourselves out of the gutter now, you know, is not easy. So in the form of, in this guidance, if you look at your stomach, do you know how big it is? Look at your fist. If you close your fist and look at your fist like that, this is how big your stomach is. You now look at, look at 3 portions. So if you now have 3 portions of your stomach, 1, 2, 3, 1 portion for food, 1 portion for water, and 1 portion for air. Keep it empty. What are we doing? We're filling this portion, we're filling that portion, we're filling that portion, and then we've got GERD, we've got, you know, I've got acidity, heartburn, you know, acid reflux. Well, it's going to, because not only are we filling it up at breakfast, we're filling it up at lunch, we're filling it up at dinner, we're having, you know, foods which are not suitable for us, foods which are out of season, not sourced locally, and they are, as I've said, you know, chemicals to the hilt, from the sky, kill off the insects, to the ground, kill off the insects, kill off the birds, kill off the butter, everything, all those chemicals we're ingesting, and we, you know, not to mention all the other pollutants, not to mention stress, so becoming ill because of the food we're eating and the types of food we are eating. We're eating foods which are not, which when they combust are harmful. They might be tasty, but no, you know, who has watermelon in the winter? We do. It's not a winter food. It's a summer food. So when we go and all of these foods look absolutely, you know, perfect. Food is not meant to be, we grow our own food. So we know food is not meant to be perfect, you know, but we're conditioned now to just have perfect. It's got to be the perfect round red apple, full of, you know, wax and whatnot. It's got to be the perfect grapes. Everything is out of season. So how did the Prophet ﷺ eat? Somebody said to Sayyidina Aisha, I want to eat like the Prophet, the Sunnah way. She said, you won't be able to. Oh, but I want to try. So she said, may Allah be pleased with her, we had months where there was nothing, no fire in the house. How can you survive off a date and water? Yet the Prophet ﷺ, you know, in their age, what did they do? They were doing jihad. And all the Sahaba we know, they had very little food. So food, we need it to survive, to give us good health, but it's got to be good food. So even if though we're growing organic, the water from the sky, the rainfall, is now polluted. There's no escape. You know, people say, well, what do? Nothing. We just have to, you know, have tawakkul that what we're eating, we're reciting upon it, so that Allah protects us from this, you know, from the harm from within it. And so the food, I spend almost an hour and a half going through the diet or with the patient. So to try and understand, because when you ask somebody, what do you eat? Oh, normal food. Okay, well, what's normal food? But, you know, normal food. No, I don't know what normal food is. I don't know, because my intake of food and yours is going to be completely different. if you look at how food is grown, how it's sourced, how it's manufactured, how it's sort of packaged, and thousands of miles it travels, is heated up, is cooled down, heated up, cooled down, in the ships, in the cargo, in the planes, and then it comes in the warehouses. Apples are already about a year old by the time we consume them. So this is, I'm trying to make you understand why we're ill. On top of that, the drinks. Nobody drinks water anymore, or they all bottle water. Well, I don't blame you, because it's all, don't even go there with the tap water. We filter ours, by the way. But, so that consuming, and then, your fluoride and your chloride and what they put in the toothpaste, it's just non-ending. And so the Prophet ﷺ has told us, divide your stomach into 3 portions, leave 1 portion empty, but we're overfilling. And if somebody becomes ill and they miss their lunch, oh, you missed your lunch. Oh, he hasn't eaten for 2 days. It's okay. That's fine. So this is why we can't eat, living our lives according to the prophetic way is very difficult. Our junk food and everything else. Okay, moving on. So understanding the diet. The Prophet ﷺ ate local food. The Prophet ﷺ ate food which was in season. The Prophet ﷺ ate food because he knew how the combination of foods was. And so we are becoming ill, partly because what we're consuming, what we're drinking. And then on top of that, the medicine, because if somebody goes to their doctor and they take medicine, there's no review. And so they could be on that medicine for years and years and years. And all you know is life is so easy. You just go and get a repeat prescription. You don't even have to go. It gets delivered to your house. So there's no exercise even, for elderly people. All they're doing is going from one appointment to the next, to the next, to the next, all around like this, the revolving thing that goes around where your baggage comes off in the airport, one of those things, from one appointment to the next, and the stress of parking, you name it. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the system, the NHS, brilliant as it is, it's not without faults, because we're not getting cured. Allah is the curer, but the system itself is designed to keep us ill. I'm sorry to say that. Okay, so food, drink, and meat. Let me talk about the meat, because obviously we Muslims love our meat. Well, when I ask people, what do you eat? They say, oh, normal food. Well, tell me, because we don't eat meat. We eat meat only if we are invited out, or somebody brings, like in Ramadan, or somebody brings some meat for us. Otherwise, we haven't purchased meat for 20 years as a rule. And so meat, think about the animals. Think how they're kept, what they are fed, what they are, the stress they go through. Are they actually the zibba? When I found out about all of this, I said, I'm not going to do it. I can't take, if you are stressed, how does your body react? You start to feel hot, perspire, a bit anxious, tense, okay, worried. You feel it. You might want to go to the loo a lot. Some people eat more. Some people go off their food. Worry, stress, all of that. What's happening to the animals? What's happening to the animals? Where and when they are... Sorry, I'm just going to put you on mute. Those animals are also stressed out, and the adrenaline that they're releasing, because they can hear the other animals being stunned, and with the poultry it's even worse. And so we are consuming and ingesting those excessive stress hormones the animals are releasing, and then we're saying, oh gosh, why is everybody angry nowadays? There's your answer. So Allah is the curer. Allah's provided the cure. The prophets told us how to consume from the halal that Allah's created for us. So what I'm describing to you is what alternative practitioners are saying, but we know the Prophet has told us there is a big relationship between diet and illness. Ibn Qayyim, may Allah be pleased with him, in his book of the Al-Tib an-Nabwi, he explains the above hadith. He says the majority of illnesses are due to improper dietary habits, not washing your hands, not even saying Bismillah. So you're entering the house, you don't make the dua, the shaitan walks in with you, you're eating your food, you don't say Bismillah, you don't say the dua, you don't thank Allah. After that, the shaitan's going to eat with you. I'm not saying this. The Prophet has said it. So, you know, this is the prophetic way. And so the diet is very important. We're eating in excess of what the body needs. Why is obesity, you know, on the increase? Just eat, 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 no exercise. And fatigue. Fatigue is happening because of the inflammation in the body through the diet, through the stress, through other factors as well. And the foods that we're eating have got, they look very pretty, very, you know, all very perfect in shape and form and color. God knows what they're doing, how they're preparing those foods, but they have low nutritional value. Now, we were in Palestine. We go regularly. We have projects there, our charity projects that we run. We were there. We've just come back 2 days ago, mashallah, tabarakallah, and may Allah make it easy now. Everything's kicked off, which I see as something else. I don't accept the version that's being told to us. But everything was in season. They had mangoes there. They had guava there. They had pineapples. They had pomegranate. The blessed land. Figs were just going out of season, dates, olive oil. What does Allah tell us about the dates, about olive and figs? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa-tini wa zaytun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by these blessed foods, the foods of Jannah. Eat them and you'll be okay, but eat them in a way that's prescribed. And so the food tasted good, it smelled good, it looked good. It was not perfectly shaped or anything, but we ate it. And that's all we lived off in Palestine. We were there for 7 days, traveling up and down the West Bank and checking our projects out, meeting with everybody. And it was lovely. And they're healthy. Nobody, I didn't find, I would say 90% of 95% of the Palestinians, they're not overweight. If you've ever been to, you know, Palestine, it's not a straight, it's hilly. So you have to go up and down, up and down, up and down, a lot of walking and a lot of exercise. So there is no nutritional value in food that is transported for thousands and thousands of miles and just kept looking good, unless you grow your own. And we do grow our own, and we notice the difference. The tomatoes are so sweet. The cucumber is so sweet. So this year we've grown peas and potatoes and onions and garlic, aubergines, cauliflower, chilies, garlic, yeah. And we've got fruit trees that figs were in abundance, apples, plums, cherries. Not as good because of the weather manipulation. They're changing the weather, as you know. They're doing it deliberately. But it tastes better than the shop. So we didn't have to buy any fruit this summer and whatever was growing in the garden, we just stuck with that, mashallah. So carrots, we had mashallah, potato, lots of things. So there is a relationship between that. And so there is an interrelationship between prophetic medicine and modern medicine. Let's see how. There is a role for modern medicine. All the technology, all the research has given us, you know, information, explanation. But the truth is always with the Prophet. The Prophet has told us about this relationship with the gut. And what's that? That the stomach is the head of the disease, and it's also the head of the cure. And so a good diet can intensify an illness, or it can prevent an illness. This is how the Muslim Tabeebs understood this relationship of what is happening in the gut. And so modern alternative practitioner, your GP not so much, because the doctors don't talk about nutrition. They don't talk about diet. You go back home to you know, our countries where we've come from, and you'll find people who talk about diet. The grandmothers, how did people look after themselves prior to, you know, this whole medical fraternity that sort of is established? Well, the village elder, grandmother, her mother, passed through the water. You know, take this herb, take that herb, do this. You know, abstain, give the body a rest. All of those good things that we did, it's just rush, rush, rush. And so we know that the gut has microbiome. It has bacteria, fungus. It has worms in there, which which shouldn't be there. It's got thing. So if everything is in balance in the gut, then you're going to have good health. And if it's out of balance, then you're going to have poor health. Everything starts from within the gut, and that's what practitioners are telling us, alternative practitioners like Dr. X and so on. But we know this from the Prophet, or we don't know it, and I'm telling you, and you probably do know it. So if you've got a good gut, because the gut itself, your stomach, I told you, is just as large as your fist. And think about the child's stomach. Hold that child's fist. That's all the child can eat. But it overfeeds them. They don't want the milk, but shove the bottle in the mouth. Chemical-based formula milk, and then they vomit, or they've got IBS at very early age, diarrhea. They can't hold things in, and so it's a poorly gut. And then asthma and eczema early. And don't even ask me about the vaccines, the jabs that the poor kids are given. That's another story in itself. And so if the child it's been fed 1/3, leave it. Same for us. Leave it. We can go without. What do we do in fasting when we're fasting? We just have a little bit of sahur, and then a little bit of aftari when we have aftar, and we can go without, because we're focusing on other things. And so if your gut is healthy, which is a large part of your immune system, because the gut is part of the immune system, then you'll be healthy. And if it's not, then it's going to be unhealthy. Constipation, diarrhea, all of these digestive illnesses are down to poor diet and what's happening. And you have to think of it like this. You grow a seed. The seed then begins to root. It roots really deep. Then it shoots 2 leaves, then 4 leaves, then 8 leaves. Then that's how they multiply. Then it shoots up. Then it becomes into a trunk, branches, and eventually it gives fruit because it's mature now. The same with illness. The illness doesn't start straight away. It fruits after a long period, but it's rooted deep. And in the gut, if the microbiome is upset, has been changed due to poor food, due to toxins, due to constipation, is a big problem, and nobody gives any attention to it. It's a cause of many, many illnesses. And so what's going to happen? The fruit of an illness is when it comes out. You get signs beforehand. Twinge here, an ache there, but we just sort of dismiss it, take a paracetamol and blah, blah, go to the doctor and whatever it is, how you manage with it. And so if that's okay, inshallah, you'll be okay. But alongside the good diet, there has to be other things. So we can treat correcting the diet, inshallah ta'ala. And for example, the food that we're eating nowadays, sugar, dairy, fats, wheat, etc., which are harmful. And so we have got to look at diet as a source of illness and diet as a cure for the illness. But alongside that, there's another principle, which is to move the body. We do not exercise. The chair, we sit from, might be sitting at the dining table or sitting, at home, and then we move into the car, which is sitting, and then we go to the office, which is sitting, and then we don't exercise, we don't move around, so our bodies become very stagnated. So we're overeating, overindulging, and genetically, if you're disposed to, different people are genetically disposed to different things. Some people put on more weight easily, and the Prophet ﷺ has told us and put it into practice in terms of exercise. And we know archery, swimming, horse riding are the 3 that have been specifically mentioned, but the Prophet ﷺ wrestled, the Prophet ﷺ walked, it was a power walk. And so you see, the the Prophet ﷺ in their later age were doing jihad. You need to be strong and fit to pick up a sword and, fight during Ramadan. The Ghazwa Badr happened in Ramadan. All of them were fasting. We can't get our kids out of bed, and the way that the dunya is now, the men are doing their beauty treatments and gosh, God knows what, and we're all on our selfies. Where are we? And it's even if we're exercising, it's showing others. So the world has gone crazy. But exercise is a principle of prophetic medicine. The body has a haqq. Allah has told us, sleep on, so sleep deprivation is going to make you ill. So sleeping on time, eating on time, getting up on time, exercising, these are all the prophetic principles. We just think of generally, black seed oil, that's prophetic. Yes, as a remedy, both for prevention and cure. And you know what? If you say that there is a cure for cancer, they'll lock you up. Many, many doctors have had their licenses revoked because they have discovered the cure for cancer, but they're not allowed to, because it's a business to keep people ill and to keep them drugged up and use their system. But there is a cure because Allah has created a cure. And so we're pumping millions of pounds into all of these cancer research charities, and they've got the cure, subhanallah. So yeah, because Allah is the curer, how can we say that they haven't found a cure? But anyway, let's move on. So diet, exercise. So intention, tawakkul, yaqeen, sabr, shukr, diet, exercise, keeping the body, nutritionally balanced diet, helping maintain it. And nowadays we talk about superfoods, so there's some examples of superfoods, but we've got to eat foods, good food, and exercise to improve our health. Before we do that, we have to detox. Fasting is an excellent way. If you can't do the Monday and Thursday, keep the 3 sunnah days, the Yom Eid days, the 13th, 14th, and 15th. And then, inshallah ta'ala, the two go hand in hand. That's why we started our exercise club. We still do it online. I've got a Telegram channel where I've posted all of the exercise videos that I've done for sisters. You can go online. You can go on YouTube. You don't have to follow my exercise. But all of this, we went online in when the lockdowns happened, because obviously people were not able to come out, and we stayed on that. So exercise and diet, two go hand in hand. And then eating the prophetic foods, everything that is mentioned in the Quran, every food that's mentioned by the Prophet ﷺ, we know that there is healing in it, there is shifa in it. So we have some prophetic foods here for you as an example. And then we feed the body probiotic foods and the good bacteria, the prebiotic foods for the good bacteria to grow, to rebalance after the detox, inshallah ta'ala. So some examples there. Okay, so what are the golden rules? Number 1, avoid that which is harmful. So we have to look and check that, is it halal, is it tayyib? Rid the body of the harm, detox, fasting, and other remedies, sweating, exercising to remove that harm. The blood is pumped through the heart, but the toxins which accumulate in as a result of the metabolism within the cells, that is pushed into the muscles, and it needs to move into the lymphatic system, and it gets into the lymph and it gets stored there, because we're not moving the body, we're not exercising it for the muscles to contract and expand and move the waste from the lymph into the blood system, so that it can be excreted through the liver, the kidneys, all of the organs which are responsible for removing the toxins. But we have other remedies like sweating, like vomiting, like hijama, for example, to remove the toxins that have accumulated. And so we rid the body of the harm. So what happens is people start to get hay fever, and they go to the doctor, and the doctor gives them. And so when they get, say, signs of hay fever, the body is sneezing, coughing, it's got red eyes, watery eyes, you know, all the symptoms of hay fever. So we go to the doctor, and the doctor gives us antihistamine, okay, to stop the help with the symptoms. But actually, the body is producing histamine to remove the harmful pathogens, the toxins, the pollen that has accumulated in the sinuses, in the nose, in the respiratory tract. And so it's a natural thing for the body to do. Sneeze, cough, but we can't take it. We get irritated. We don't have the sabr in it. We take the antihistamine, and so we are suppressing the body's ability to produce histamine because it's an anti. And so eventually, the natural thing that the body does to sneeze, cough, to to be teary-eyed and so on, which we can't take for a couple of days, if we let it all out and start taking honey a year in advance, local honey a year in advance, it's going to help build our immunity to it. And so by suppressing the natural production of the histamine hormone by using antihistamine, we're not helping ourselves. We're going to be relying on the antihistamine for life, more or less. And it helps the pharmaceutical industry. Always is building up the immune system. Skin is part of the immune system. Your gut is part of the immune system. The gut and the mind, if you look at them, they're very similar in makeup, and both have brains. So there's some stomach type of stomach cells in the brain and so forth in the brain cells in the gut. They've got a vagus nerve and they talk to each other. So when this is not well, you're feeling low, your gut's not going to be well. Diarrhea, going off your food, loss of appetite. Okay, you're not sleeping well, problem. And if the gut is not well, mind's not going to be well. The two interrelated. Now, I've spoken about the physical aspect and some of the science and some of the prophetic principles and the rules, the golden rules. You're not well, you're tired. What is the remedy? Rest, sleep it off. But do we rest? No, we're driving ourselves, 100 miles an hour, doing so many things. This is how the world is designed to keep us preoccupied, running around, chasing things, appointments and children and whatnot, and working hard to pay off our bills, that we move away. So what do we move away from? Which is the most important thing now, which I'm going to talk about, is our spiritual nourishment. The Prophet ﷺ has mainly spoken about spiritual diseases, disease of the heart, because a lot of the modern day illnesses didn't exist there, but we can use a lot of the herbs and the principles to help the patient. From my experience, everybody who comes to me say, we get it, we understand it, we really want to go forward. But when you give them the treatment plan, they don't follow it because they've been conditioned somehow to accept the doctor over myself. It's changed now a lot, okay, because people have got better and they recommended it. But it was like in the beginning, okay, you give some set herbs and you say, oh, did you take? Oh, no, I didn't take them. Oh, what did you do with them? Oh, I gave them to my neighbor. Why? We all have a temperament, hot, cold, wet, dry. What suits one person may not suit the other person. Two people with diabetes, one might be hot and wet, and one might be hot and dry. Two different temperaments, compounded temperaments, and they are given the same medicine. One's going to react in one way, one's going to react in another way. Whereas in the prophetic way or the herbal way, it's very much based on the temperament of the individual, and then we look at other things, a whole range of other factors, how you're sleeping, how you're eating, and so on and so forth. Let's go back to the spiritual remedies. Because when I started firstly, the Prophet ﷺ has spoken about the spiritual remedies. So what has he spoken about? Evil eye. Also, we know that people the Quran and the Prophet himself was a victim of sihr, magic, and the Quran speaks about it. Every time Nabi Musa alayhi salam is mentioned, we know that there is the Pharaoh and the magic, and that exists and it's on the increase. And of course, jinn affliction, jinn magic. But the Prophet ﷺ has spoken mainly about the diseases of the heart. And our sins, some we do, we are major, and some are minor, and some we don't even know we are sinful. I mean, a billboard which has a naked woman on it, barely clothed, if the eyes look at it, I mean, we're not committing sin directly, but it's sinful. So you lower your gaze. But you can't, in this world, everything is about, yourself, me, pretty, selfie, this, that, so we're committing minor sins all the time. And eventually, especially in this day and age, evil eye I don't think anybody is safe from evil eye. Subhanallah. Now, so the Prophet has spoken, and then the remedies are spiritual as well. So we have Haquq Allah, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so all the fard that we must perform, especially the salah. If you're not doing it, you're in trouble. And of course, alongside the fard, the Quran and all the good deeds that we do. And then there's the Haquq al-Ibad, which is the rights of humanity, rights of the environment, rights of the animals. The Prophet ﷺ was Rahmatul lil Alameen. He didn't come just for us, he came for humanity. And this is how I started, that the facade has spread so much now that the whole of this earth is ill. The earth is ill. The earthquakes, the floods, these are symptoms of the earth being ill. It's the earth symptoms. Yeah, man-made, lots of things happening, but we're digging deep into it, we're creating holes, we're destroying this earth. And the earth's we're gonna be accountable collectively, whatever we can do. This is why the hadith is the minimum way you can protest is think in your heart or spread the message that this is wrong. So the spiritual illnesses which are making us ill, very much ill, is what I began to pick up on. Because when I started to treat people everybody who was coming through our door to me, because I only treat women, was like, subhanallah, this one and another one and another one. How can that be? Well, what am I doing wrong? So I spoke to my teachers and I said, what am I doing wrong? Everybody who's coming, can't be everyone's afflicted by evil eye. What am I doing wrong? And they said, no, you're doing everything right. You are doing as you've been told to do, as you've been trained. And therefore you're picking up these illnesses, which are manifesting in physical and mental conditions. And so began to then obviously learn more about how do we do that. And it's not rocket science. Your morning adhkars, your evening adhkars, your protective du'as, your du'as which are keeping us wearing your clothes, going into the bathroom, going out of the house, coming in the house. These are the du'as which keep us 24/7 in protection. When we're sleeping, when we're waking, when we're putting our clothes on, everything, there's guidance from the Prophet. This is the prophetic way. It's not just about taking your olive oil and your black seed oil. Those are the tools of how we can help. The other way is our lifestyle, which is moved away from the guidance of the Prophet ﷺ. In Ramadan is great because everybody's rushing, and spiritually we feel good, and spiritually we feel benefit, and we can stay awake for Taraweeh, and we'll do all of those things. And after Ramadan, it's like finished, because the shaitans are released and we go back. So in my work now, 95% of my work is treating sisters who have got some type of affliction. But as they come to us, then in the beginning, they came for maybe hijama or something like that, and we do hijama in different, completely different to how people do hijama, because people tell us, sisters tell me, oh, I've never had it done like this, because we've learned it differently. We've learned the spiritual importance of hijama and use that spiritual aspect to it. Prepare the patient properly. correct your intention, give your sadaqah, make your dua, beg Allah for shifa before you come to us. And this is what they do, inshallah. And we do the same. And so for that, we were sending people. So I was picking up evil eye for sure, jinn affliction for sure, and then sihr, and you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure everything is, you've eliminated all the other things. And after the hijama, sisters used to just sit down and, oh my gosh, ya Allah, they start crying. Okay, so I knew that this is something else is going on. And so they talk about, domestic issues, financial problems. And then the services started to grow from there, a marriage service and this service and that service, because we had to provide it, Islamic counseling, mediation, and then using the remedies like, aromatherapy and massage and hijama and sound therapy and so on, and color therapy to help the patient in terms of devising their treatment plan. So therefore, I only see 2 patients a day now, because that's enough for me. Maximum 5 or 6 in the week. I don't see more than that, because our charity side of things has grown and grown and grown, because money was coming still to me during lockdown, and I had to put it somewhere. I thought, flipping, I better open a charity account, did that, I better set up a charitable organizer, had to do it all back to front. Never thought go down this road. And now we've got projects in Africa, in Asia, in obviously Palestine, Yemen, Mauritania, we're going to Morocco soon, inshallah, in Turkey, we went to the earthquake area. So anyway, going back to then, just to finish all of this up, is that, in all cases, you've got to avoid that which is harmful, whether it's a spiritual illness, whether it's a physical or mental ill health, we've got to avoid it, rid the body of the harm, build up the immune system. The ruh, soul, Allah has given it very, very, very special powers. It can repel the disease if it's spiritually strong, if it's nourished. If we are not nourishing the soul, which is our strap line, if we're not nourishing the soul through the dhikr of Allah, through the remembrance of Allah, it's going to be devoid, it's going to be weak, and things will overpower it. Satanic things, devils, jinn, our own ego. And so we've got to keep it nourished through our good actions, good deeds. Feed it, feed it, feed it. The first and foremost, it's no point going and doing, lots of dhikr if you don't read your salah, if you don't read your fajr. So we get the patient back on track. Have you done this? Have you done that? 90, as I said, 95% of sisters who are coming have got some sort of affliction now. And so I was sending them to male Rakis. They were coming back and saying, it's no good. Don't send us to that one. Don't send us to that one. All sorts of reasons. And I told my teachers, and they said, you've got to do it yourself. Okay, what do you mean I've got to do it myself? Yeah, come and learn. So I had to go back and learn. And now, inshallah ta'ala, we give a treatment plan. We work with the patient. We do the ruqya. We remove with Allah's permission, the jinn, extract them through the remedies that we've got through the treatment plan, and give a lot of support to the sisters outside of their appointment, because their jinn attack is going to be great, and so we've got to help them if they're feeling low, feeling down, and what do you do? So there's this, and I want to do that. I want to do less patients and help them and see it through. And inshallah ta'ala, with Allah's permission, we could say this is building up the immunity as well, our spiritual immunity. It's not just the physical. If we put everything together, this is the prophetic way. This is the course that I put together, and I put this together is because just before COVID, round about beginning of 2019, end of 2018, my teacher said to me, go and teach now. Pardon? Yes, go and teach them what you've learned. But I haven't, there's books out there, there's everything out there. No, you go and teach them. You tell them from your experience what you've done. And, and that's what we did. So the whole of 2019, wherever somebody said, like the sister here said, can you come and talk? Yes, we'll come and talk. We don't charge anything for that. Pay our travel expenses, obviously pay a little bit towards our charity. We're greedy to get money for that. And we'll come, whether it was 3 sisters or 3 brothers, or whether it's 300, we went up and down the country to to tell people the truthful way is the prophetic way. There is a role for modern medicine, of course there is, because Allah has gifted these people, the people who are in research and development, with that knowledge, okay, but it's been taken away from us. So there is a room for that, you know. Surgery, secondary care and quick surgery, keyhole surgery is good, for example, but the long-term benefits are not good. The long-term side effects are not good. So whatever I had learned and whatever I put into practice, I put this in this short 20-hour course, which is, I put it as an introduction to prophetic medicine. It's a level 1. I've never got around to writing level 2, but it's online now because we put it online. Those of you who want to study it, you can in your own time. It's all there on our platform. And those who still prefer for me to come out, I'll do the odd course here. It's 20 hours, so it'll be about 4 weekends or something like that to come out to, really. But the one-to-one, face-to-face is good. You get the interaction, whereas obviously I'm talking obviously online. But once you join the course, you can do it 1 time, you can do it 10 times. Everybody knows a little bit, but it's building upon that knowledge. And so as we also have a students group. So my students who study, I'll add them to the student group, and then we carry on learning from each other, and I will obviously input to that as well, inshallah ta'ala. So in a nutshell, prophetic medicine is not just about the herbs or what we know. It is about a number of things, and the Prophet ﷺ is rahmatan lil alameen, so we have to look at both the rights of Allah and the rights of creation, and we have to start with charity begins at home, ourselves, by looking after ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. So that's, inshallah, I'm going to stop at there. Said quite a lot. Happy to take questions, inshallah ta'ala.
Jazakallah khair. That was amazing. Very, very knowledgeable, Sister. Jazakallah khair. That's quite a lot of information to take away. And this is what we need, because we want clarity. We want clarity of what to do with our health and what exactly is going wrong. But I think you covered so many good points. And we really, it looks like a tick box. So we just go and say, okay, I've done this, I've done that, what else? So talking about, coming back to the slide, if I can ask a question in particular about Ruqya, because as I said, there are many challenges around, and people want to know exactly what to recite when in terms of Ruqya and how to go on about it. Because obviously you go to the doctor's done their bit, but still things are going wrong. How do you find out that you need Ruqya as well? So that's 2 questions for you.
Okay, what does Ruqya mean? It means reciting the Quran. So it's no rocket science. We should be reciting the Quran daily, and we should be completing our Quran monthly. But how many of us actually do that? I mean, alhamdulillah, astaghfirullah, I'm not sort of putting myself on a pedestal, but for a long time now, I have completed the khatam of the Quran on a monthly basis. I make that my target, and mashallah, I do. So the first thing is, what is Ruqya? Ruqya means don't make your homes a graveyard, pick the Quran, and now we're using technology, and it's just on the phone, but really we need to open the kitab, we need to open the book, we need to be in wudu, and we need to attach ourselves to the Quran. Yes, it's made for a lot of us, and even myself, it's not my first language, but there's lots of things you begin to pick up when you have to make time, just like we make time for everything else. So Ruqya means reciting the Quran. The Prophet ﷺ has given us guidance. He has said, if you, in every household, Surah Baqarah should, no household should go 3 days without reciting Surah Baqarah, because it's the first atomic weapon for us, in terms of protection. All of the du'as that I've spoken about, The Fortress of the Muslim is an excellent book. And I keep that, and I recommend that to everybody. It contains all the adhkars, the morning and evening du'as. If we can do that, subhanallah, it's enough. We don't, but we're not reading our protected du'as. We're not doing our adhkars. We're not doing our reading our Quran. When I asked that question, because that's the question as part of the consultation, how much Quran do you read? A lot. I read it. How much? And well, not a lot. Well, you need it for your protection. It's going to bring nur into your heart. So that's the first to answer. What is Ruqya? Ruqya is all of the protected du'as that we should be knowing. And the basic, simple one, obviously, we know is the Ayatul Kursi, the Quls, the 4 Quls, particularly Falak and Nas, because that was sent as a gift to Rasulullah when Rasulullah was afflicted. So that is the minimum. But in this day and age, it is so intense now, the evil eye and magic and sihr, because we're in the end times, and the more we have, the more hasad there is. So it's not enough now. It was enough in our parents' days because they were more generous and giving, but now it's not. So we need to increase that firstly. And so go to your, as I said, the Fortress of the Muslims. So that's the first thing. I've got a link on my website that you can also, I'll just put that one back up here. And I've done a short course on Ruqya. What is Ruqya? And you can share that with you. It's online. Do it in your own time. It's me, how I've learned about Ruqya. So that's to answer what is Ruqya. It's nothing like top secret. What is it? What is it? What is it? It's very simple, what the Prophet has given. And how do I know? Some sisters will come and say, I've been to Iraqi, I've been diagnosed, I know I have it, or so they've diagnosed me, I've had Ruqya, but I've not had much success. They couldn't remove the jinn, there's never one jinn. There's never one jinn. If there's magic, usually the one jinn is like if the jinn has come unattached to magic. And so they are usually with females, they're, ashik jinn, they're lovers. Astaghfirullah, I shouldn't use that word, but I'm in love with you, all of that rubbish that goes on. But usually with sihr, with magic, it's a leader, and up to 100,000 jinns could be attached with that leader that is sent through the magic to do the job. And it could be, the magic could be done once, twice, 10 times, before marriage, after marriage, I've seen it all. Okay, so we have to use, the sisters will tell me themselves, yeah, I've been to Iraqi, I've been all over the house, no success, or I will pick it up as I was doing, but I will not say to them straight away, I think there's a jinn possession. I'll probably sort of break it gently to them and say, I think you've got some sort of ayn on you, some nazar, hasad, come back. That's enough, because and some will say, I have these sensations, crawling, sleeplessness, sleep paranoia, when they sit on the chest, it's sleep paralysis, so they will have symptoms, which everybody who comes, obviously I'm going to speak to them before I don't go into anything, have a detailed consultation, start the treatment, finish off, let them sit down for a bit, so they themselves will feel a difference if they've had hijama before, for example. And then we use the hijama for sihr, for magic, for extracting the jinns. So it's a combination of things. And those who know that they have got jinn affliction, then we get straight into the treatment. I don't go to people's houses. Everybody must come here. They must make time. If they value, they value their health, they're going to have to come here. And people do come from all over, even Europe. Because there's not just jinns attached to a person, there'll be jinns on the outside, and there'll be jinns in the house as well. So I don't want to go up to a place where there are jinns in the house, because we're not going to get very good success. People call Iraqi to their house and pay hundreds of pounds for what? For them to read the Quran? Why? Why aren't you reading it? In my line of work, is all about empowering the patient, because I say to my patient, okay, you'll be with me for maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours maximum, and then what? You need to know how to fight now, because this is not going to go away.
So how do you actually know that there is a need for Ruqya, and it's not just hormone imbalance or lack of is mineral deficiency? How do we actually know?
I go through all of that. I've just said to you, we do a health assessment beforehand.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Sisters, please feel free to unmute if you've got a question for Sister Alia here. Take opportunity, inshallah.
Because no Raqi the way the Ruqya services are run now is that you go, you wait for your turn, you go in, you get read upon, and then you come out. I haven't come across a Raqi which is going to give you support afterwards, which is going to respond to your queries afterwards, which is going to do an assessment in the way that this is my experience. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying I'm only telling you what my patients tell me. And we've done a short video upon our Ruqya service where people are giving testimonies in terms of how they have been before to other places and how they have been treated. And inshallah, we do have success, because it's not just a one-off session.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's the case. The Raqi does 1 or 2 or 3 sessions, and then that's about it. And the consultation that you previously talked about, that's quite new for me in particular, and I would say maybe for everyone, because I don't think the Raqi knows anything to do with, anything to do with nutrition when it comes to, assessing, doing full assessment. So this is something amazing. I think, yes, I will highly recommend to get in touch.
You've got to eliminate, because some people will have mental health breakdowns. They've been in mental health institutions, but we've got to backtrack, go back. Tell me when it started. What was the first thing that happened? And that could have been 10, 20, 15 years ago, 20 years. I have 60-year-olds who have suffered from jinn affliction, because they were in the village and they went for a bath in the local river or something, or they went to a well to bring some water. It was Maghrib time, and they don't know they've got a jinn affliction, but they're ill, and they've been on antidepressants for all their lives, 40, 50 years. So, every case is different. You can't, what I would recommend for that patient is going to be different for someone who's 16 or 17. And then we're getting younger and younger children, 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, behavior problems, autism. Autism is one of those things which has been the way my teacher said is, you've been touched by the jinn. And look at the huge number of autistic cases. So you've got to rule everything out before you're going to go down. And I'm very fussy. I'm very strict. I'm not going to just take on anybody. The first question as I ask them is, why do you need Ruqya? I need Ruqya. Why? Tell me, why do you need Ruqya? Send me a text, send me a voice message. I'm going to check it out whether you actually need Ruqya or not, because I'm not going to spend my time 2-3 hours on somebody who is not spiritually ready. There's no point having Ruqya if you're not even reading your salah. You've got to get the patient back to Allah, connect back to Allah subhanahu. I can't cure that patient. Allah can. And so if Allah has made an opening by them coming to me, I'm going to have to work. So I'm very strict in that way. I'm very kind, but I'm also, 5 or 6 people are enough for me. 6 at a push, 5 are enough in the week. I've got lots of other commitments, which I have to, we travel a lot as well. And I want to do those 5 properly. I don't need to do it for the money. I only charge £60. That includes your hijama and Ruqya together. And it's not just about money. You have to charge something. Otherwise, this is my bread and butter now. A lot of it, the time when families come which are afflicted, we'll lower the price. We'll say, look, it's okay. We'll do the kids for, just learn everything and then go and help the family. For us, myself and my husband, is more about sadaqah jariyah now, leaving something behind that people are going to make dua for us. So, yes, the only thing is they have to come here. They have to fit around my timetable. I don't work at the weekends. I don't work in the evenings. It's 2 slots, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock. Come around here. I need a bit of break. Make sure I read my salah. That's very important. And then, get them back on track. And things begin to happen simply by opening the Quran, reading the Quran. Have you done this? Don't come to me. Don't book your second appointment if you haven't read Surah Baqarah at least 5 times before you come. So you see, we're pushing them in a direction which is they can then use not use it. The Quran is going to help them. The salah is for them. So
So what happens if you got a friend who can't read the Quran? Is listening enough?
no, I would say no, not with the type of afflictions people have, unless they sit down in wudu and are attentive. People are listening to the Quran as it like the radio is on in the background, or they listen to it while they fall asleep. That's not paying attention to the Quran. And some people can't read the Quran, so we have to look at what else they can do. You know, for Surah Fatiha in itself is a full dua. So we'll give them the Surah Fatiha as a spiritual remedy. And there's other ways as well.
Sorry, sister, I have a question here, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I recite Surah Al-Baqarah, inshallah, every Saturday, Sunday, because I'm working Monday to Friday. So because I try to cover 3 days, but I try to finish it by 1 day, which is like every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, without reciting or finishing Surah Al-Baqarah, I never leave my house to my work. And all the other cars in the morning, inshallah. And more astaghfirullahs, more now I'm targeting like in the weekend 1,000, in the weekdays it's 500, or whenever I start walking to the work, I walk to the work 40 minutes up and down. So that for 40 minutes I try to 100 times full Musa alayhi salam's duas and Yunus alayhi salam's duas. Particularly my heart is burdening a lot with lots of things, and now I can see my daughter is like, she is not in Islam. She left and she is practicing this magic, and we can hear the jinns knocking down the house few times, knocking. And I recite more times now Surah Al-Baqarah. I can see the changes, but still I don't really feeling that comfort, sister. It is very essential me to need a help mentally, physically. I try my best with Allah. I connect with Allah. I never leave my tahajjud as well. I'm praying tahajjud every day. I still need your help, sister, please. If I can get you.
Yeah, mashallah, tabarakallah. That's all good. Alhamdulillah. So everything that's in the Quran is open for us, all the guidance from Rasulullah sallam, we follow it, inshallah. It keeps everything at bay. So how I describe it is you have layers of protection. So you've got one layer and the next and the next, and the shayateen and the ins and humans, they try and attack us, but it will bounce back. Okay, and keeping that tawakkul strong. So mashallah, you're on track, and making sure your salah as well, your sadaqah is very important. But
yes, I have a sadaqah bag where I put every morning after my salah, after my tahajjud, I at least put 10p in that and saying whatever my needs are.
Mashallah, that's good. All of that is good. That's we would be recommending this. So the only then analogy I can give you is like you have a tooth that gets broken, and it's gone now, but the root is still there. So therefore, you need the dentist to extract that root. So in your case, alhamdulillah, you're using all of the defense mechanisms to the Quranic defense to help yourself, inshallah ta'ala, and protect yourself. But then, if you are afflicted, you're going to need the help to remove that affliction.
Yes, sister. Yeah, definitely. I can understand.
That's where you go to the dentist, and our way is, look, we don't make people dependent on me. My job, I think that's my teaching background as well, is, you empower the patient, the student, and you give them the tools. No, you've got to carry on. You've got to carry on. That's good. Now add this to it. Now add that to it. Slowly build upon that. Eat this prophetic food. Do this, do that. Your house needs to be protected, your car, your work, because the shayateen on the outside, they have a job to do as well. You can dumb down the ones in the inside because through the remedies, as it happens in Ramadan, but on the outside, they're strong. And they will give waswasa to your manager or to the other family members, conflict, problems, difficulties, because they're doing their job, they're doing their work on other people. So you'll have continuous problems. So until the magic is not broken completely, if it is magic, for example, until the jinns are not removed, you know, they will cause havoc. And to be very frank, not all of the shayateen, the jinn, will go. There's always few that will stay, okay? Because they don't. They say, we love it, you know we should go. You're a very good lady, Dr. Alia, but we're not going. You know, this sort of, they'll sort of say these sort of things. And we'll say, you're going to end up in Jannah. Yes, we know, but we're not going to go. So what do? You keep them dumbed down so that at least you have a better quality of life. So this is all the information we give the patient. Alhamdulillah.
Because I'm working in a school, I can only look forward to come to you in school holidays, in the term holidays, if it is possible.
Yes, inshallah. I mean, as I said, we're away in October. We're away in the half term. We're going to Turkey. End of November, we're going to Morocco, and then I think probably in December we'll be going to back to India. So my diary, I always say to people, look, you're going to need at least 2-3 sessions. Book them. If you don't need them, we'll cancel it. But book them so that you've got the slot, because they just go. I mean, 5 appointments, 6 appointments in a week will just go like that. And I've got to get people 2-3 times in, and then they begin to feel that when we've got deeper down, it's like a layer of onion. You peel a layer, another layer, peel a layer, another layer. Depends how many times the magic has been, etc. I think this should be another talk, because it's almost time for Maghrib here, and probably there as well. So it's all part of the prophetic way. Our parents were probably afflicted, but our grandparents, there wasn't so much hasad. Now there's too much hasad, not just from humans, but from the jinn and the shayateen. So we're getting evil eye from sources that we do not even know. And especially if you've got enemies, I've got enemies. Would you believe it? I've got male Rakis who are jealous. Anyway, that's a different story. So we all need to protect ourselves.
It's quite interesting when you said that we have evil eyes, and what happened really is, if you know that somebody is giving you the evil eye, you get them to do hoodoo, and then you use that hoodoo to bath with. But it's quite interesting when you mention when you don't even know, right? Yeah. So
if it's coming from the jinn, the shayateen, because they're everywhere. There's more of them. We're in the end times. Look, the jinns are going to come with Dajjal. The chaos that's happening is all planned for Dajjal, to bring Dajjal out. We've just been, the Palestine is where it all started, where it's all going to end. Is, the Al-Aqsa Masjid. And they've just had the ruling from the Jewish judges that the Yahud can go and pray between 11 and 3 in Al-Aqsa. And at that time, the young Palestinians can't come in. This is going to be a big kickoff. And in my view, this whole thing that's happened now in Gaza is a distraction, because the shaitan wants blood, sacrifices. And what better to give them Muslim blood? Anyway, that's a different story. I have a lot of Telegram groups, End of Time, and all of these things, where we discuss these things openly, which I can share with you. But going back to the end times, the Dajjal has his army is going to be all of the jinnat, all the jinns, the shayateen, and all of this transgender change of what's happening, the deformity, or that's what the people are doing to themselves. They're all going to be part of his army. And so therefore there are more shayateen and more jinn which are giving us evil eye. This technology that we're using, Zoom and iPhones, is all inspired by the shayateen, by the jinn, and it gives them access to us. So in a wedding where there used to be one photographer, now you're going to have 500 people with 500 mobile phones, and 500 people are going to take your pictures. You don't need to go anywhere now to get somebody's hair or get somebody's clothes. You've got the photos available, and you just download it and you just send it to the magician and say, here you are, do the magic on them. It's getting worse and worse. This is why the spiritual remedies are very important. We need them. And so Ruqya, which has become like, oh my gosh, this sort of very mysterious. No, there is no mystery. It is all of the du'as that the Prophet has told us, the remedies the Prophet has told us. Wudu, yes. But if you go and say, I think you've given me evil eye, if you're going to say, what? There's going to be a showdown. But you can use wudu water. You can use your own wudu water to take the bath. But these are remedies which you're not going into today, because I have, as I said, it's almost time for Maghrib. So yes, so we explain all of this. But I will not do anybody's ruqya unless I'm 100% sure they're on track with their salah. That is my first requirement. And then I give them the Quran remedies, which is obviously Surah Baqarah, like the sister is reading. Look, Surah Waqiyah, people say we're in hardship. Surah Waqiyah, that's what the Prophet has told us. You'll never be in poverty. So, teach your children and learn yourself. I mean, I didn't, to be honest with you, I'm not ashamed to say I didn't know a lot of these du'as, but when I started my own journey, I learned them. And if I forget, I'll just say Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Shukrullah, Astaghfirullah, Ya Allah protect me. Allah knows our language. Ya Allah, I forgot to say Bismillah, Ya Rabbi, accept this Bismillah from beginning to end. You remember, and it's all counted for.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
Walaikum salam.
Sister, inshallah, I pray Allah make my words clear and my thought and my speech concise. But my name is Daniela. I'm in the States, mashallah. Sister there in the UK knows that I'm going through some difficulty, and she forwarded the Zoom to me so that I could participate. And may Allah bless her and bless you, and inshallah for all the work that you do, and keep you safe and increase you and preserve you. I just wanted to, number one, introduce myself, because subhanAllah, like, I've lived in Yemen. I've raised my kids here in the United States. I converted to Islam when I was in my 20s. I'm in my 50s now. And I've seen my family just go through so many changes, lose kids to this dunya that you're talking about. But Allah has blessed me still to walk on this path of Islam and convert my entire immediate family is Muslim, alhamdulillah, including my parents, alhamdulillah. So I've been blessed in so many ways. But my passion is so much tied to what you were talking about in the beginning of your talk, which is teaching people how to feed their bodies. And I'm very dedicated to try to teach sisters how to grow their own food and get back to the simplicity of life. And inshallah, I just want to throw this out there, because if I can have a conversation with you later, that would be such a blessing. But inshallah, I'm doing a retreat for women to get back to their inner and their outer well-being and their health. And subhanallah, I mean, we all need PhDs in this. We all need to be Tabeebas. We all need to share this wealth and learn it and share it with our children and learn how to protect ourselves. But I would love for you to give what you gave to us today to this group of women that I'm collecting, inshallah, for this retreat. And so that's in January. And it'll be, inshallah, if you could do it by Zoom, and I will gladly be a student. SubhanAllah, just what you've touched upon is just like the culmination of so many things that I've been working on in my life. So I'm so grateful and so excited. And oh, my heart is, subhanAllah, soaring. May Allah bless you, inshallah.
Tabarakallah, taqabbal Allah, inshallah, and all the du'as you made for me, for you as well. I just did a Zoom on, came back from Palestine on, we came on Wednesday morning, and then Thursday I did a Zoom for New Zealand. They somehow got in touch, the group of sisters from Muslim sisters. So I think, when my teacher said to me in 2019, go and teach, and I said, but teach what? How can I teach? They said no. So I'm really teaching from what I know. There are books out there. There's tons of books. But when somebody explains, and what I saw with my own teachers in Morocco and in Turkey, how they, use the fasting for deep toxification, deep detoxification, and lots of things. It became surreal. I got addicted, and all my time was going and sitting with the teachers. So when they said to me, I thought, I'm not that deserving. How can I? But then I thought, subhanAllah, okay, I'll try it. And like you, I started to get feedback, because you're always nervous. But it's not rocket science. It's just going back to the basics. If we can do that, growing our own food is not impossible. We have a garden, and I can share some pictures. My husband said, don't touch the lawn. So I got some beds, and now he's addicted like me. Oh, look, we've got the peas coming out. Oh, look, the great. But they're manipulating the weather, so we don't get the sun. So the crops are going to fail. I don't know whether it's too dark in here. I should put the light on one moment, if you give me a minute.
SubhanAllah, that is crazy. Well, when I started this project with this center, it's in Puerto Rico. And when I started, many people said, Daniela, you're crazy. What are you doing? You're down there by yourself. You've just gone off on this crazy project. And I told them, subhanAllah, I said, Allah has given me, I believe, hidayah. And I feel like he has told me to build the ark. This is an ark for the sisters. They will come, inshallah, your work will become clear. Just do what I'm directing you to do. So inshallah, I'm following, what I feel Allah is inspiring me to do. And the fact that, subhanAllah, the sister connected me to this talk today that I had no intention of coming to, subhanAllah, I just feel like a Mubarak sign for me and a blessing.
And nothing is by chance. Nothing is by chance.
Exactly. And I've been to so many of the places that you're speaking of, to Morocco, to Turkey, to Yemen. I've studied and been in these places and asked Allah, why did you choose me to come to these places? So alhamdulillah, I'm just so thankful to see that perhaps it'll come together, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes, so you've got my, send me an email and we can talk outside of this meeting. Yeah, so now again, we're back, this year. I thought I better just sort of start to, because I've been very busy with the charity side of things. We do work in Yemen as well. So I thought I better start to, get the word out, because look, who knows how many lockdowns we're going to go through? Who knows? We never locked down. We never believed any of this. We never injected. I was shouting and screaming, don't vax yourself, don't jab yourself, Okay, may Allah help those who have, and those who didn't, alhamdulillah. But how do we keep the pollution out of our lives? It's not just the water and the food and all of that. It's the spiritual pollution. Because it's the corruption of the soul that is the shaitan wants, and this is what we've got to fight. Our ultimate objective of coming to this dunya, Allah put us here, is that we return back to him with our iman. And when Allah guides you, mashallah, when the people to the deen, it's a big gift, and that we have the ultimate prize, which is to meet our Lord. This is what we're working for. So when I came back this year, I thought, no, I've got to get out. How do I get out again? People can't give up for 20 hours of their time, although they love the course because there's a lot of interaction, a lot of activities. So if it happens, it happens. If not, it's available online. I can reach out to the world in that way, and we're all doing our little bit. And so that's it, really, I guess. I had that call from New Zealand, and then Sister Khadija from London, and now you. I mean, happy to talk to you, inshallah, if we're here, if we're not away. So if we can get a date, it'll be good, so that we can arrange the Zoom, inshallah. Growing our food is very, very important. Survival in the end times is going to be important. The 2 years that we were in lockdown was a means for us to retreat into our caves, to get spiritually strong, not be sheeple, not follow those people, those doctors, Muslim doctors who are paid a lot of money to keep quiet and get us all jabbed up and stuff all that. We kept our clinic open. We were using Habat al-Barakah, both the seed and the oil and other remedies to, and if somebody unfortunately had to take the jab quickly, they were coming for hijama. So we were removing the toxins, Allah is the one who, but a lot of people have suffered from that. So just to conclude then, you know, it's very difficult now in the UK to access our GPs, who is the first port of call in terms of primary care. So we need to go back to our remedies. What did mum used to give me when I was at a poorly tummy? What did grandmother used to say? Blowing upon us, reading upon us, blowing upon us, reciting the salawat when we're cooking. You know, they used to do this. But we've been pushed into go and get your degrees and go and get your, you know, I've got degrees coming out of my ears, really. Our grandparents didn't have degrees. They had common sense. You don't need to have a degree. You need to just have sincerity and just turn to Allah and Ya Rabbi, guide me, Ya Rabbi, you know, attach me to the Prophet ﷺ, and doors will open. Inshallah.
SubhanAllah. This is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm ever so grateful. SubhanAllah. Jazakallah khair for your time. I think because you're going to pray Maghrib, we're going to have to catch up and talk about how we're going to organize a workshop for you to come down, as mentioned previously. And you've seen that many sisters are interested in knowing more about how they can deal with those issues. So inshallah, I won't take your time. We will catch up outside the group and then organize something and then
inshallah
pass on the word everywhere. All right?
Inshallah. We're going to finish with dua. So we turn to Allah
sure.
subhanahu wa ta'ala. A'udhu billahi bismillahir rahmanir rahim shaitanir rajim bismillahir rahmanir rahim ya rabbal alameen. We turn to you and you alone. Ya Allah, we accept you as our creator, our sustainer, our protector. Allah, you're the one who gave us life. You're the one in who we will be standing in front of on the day of judgment. Allah, we ask that our books be written with good deeds. Ya Allah, everything that we've done today, I'll accept this as a sadqa jariyah for all of us. Allah Pak, if I've made any mistakes, I ask you to forgive me. Ya Allah, be all of the sisters who have gathered here today, who couldn't come, who want to come, who are going to Ya Allah, benefit, make them benefit from this knowledge, make me benefit. Allah, help us to share it, to promote it, to propagate it. Help us to turn to the sunnah way, the prophetic way. And Ya Allah, help us to convey this message to those who are ill. Ya Allah, we're asking that this be written in our books. Ya Rabbal Alameen, we ask that all of the Muslims across the world who are suffering, in particularly, Ya Allah, that our Palestinian brothers and sisters who are under attack, Ya Allah, we ask that that you give them goodness as a result of what they're going through. And Ya Allah, we in our personal lives have got so many different things going on. Ya Allah, protect us, our children, our grandchildren, our families, our extended families, our communities, and all of the Ummah Rasulullah. Ya Allah, we ask that we return back to you with a clean book, with a good book. And Ya Allah, we ask that we are not embarrassed on that day. Allah, we thank you for all of the ni'mah, for all of the gifts you've given us, this time, this opportunity. And Allah, we ask that we return and meet each other again, inshallah ta'ala. Ameen, Allahumma ameen, ya Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil anbiya'i wa ala alihi wa sahbihi. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Assalamu alaikum.